There it is, 10 seconds at the gap now. Tinkoff on the right here, Astana driving in the middle, BMC on the left, and Lamprey in the middle. All have got riders who could win the sprint. Noticeably, Graham, the team has done all of the work as they come up to the catch. FDJ have gone into the stalls. Yeah,
it's different teams now. It's Astana doing a lot of the work and BMC pushing a lot of riders towards the front of this peloton. So I can only assume that FDJ maybe have just eased back a little bit and waiting for that last 5 kilometres.
Well, he's going to get caught at the 12-kilometre point today, which puts him out in front for about 154 kilometres. That should be enough to qualify for the day's most competitive rider. So he'll be on the podium at the finish, but now Kricek put back in his place here. Hope he can hang on to the tail just for 11.9 kilometres. Otherwise, he'll be riding a long way home on his own. So his eyes down now for the sprint when we get back to the line. Always never worried about the sprint finish, but the red jersey on the right there of Alberto Contador, again riding with superb intelligence, keeping out of trouble. At these sort of speeds now, a touch of wheels when you're in this long line of sight, this can be the end of your race. He's always in a safe place.
Definite increase in the peloton now. Just look at that. The peloton strung out maybe 200 or 300 meters in length. Contador still near the front now. You see, still stays, got his team all the way around him. He's 10th place, out of trouble.
And Danilo Benatti, who's on his team, he was second to Degenkolb 2 years ago on this circuit race. I think he's more interested in looking after Contador now because he's right there, but even so, he's right up and he's a very good sprinter. Perhaps not got quite the legs he had of the years gone by. Lloyd Mondry in second place there for Team BMC. Adam Hansen here, tucking in behind Benatti. This is the tail of the peloton. And just hanging on 5 riders up there is the man who spent the whole race in the lead. So he's holding on at this sort of speed now. And he could finish with the group. 8.5 kilometres to go. BMC are running out of firepower here now. They've only got 2 left. And there's our rider, unfortunately, Kricek. The speed is just too much for him. 154 kilometres on his own. You can't find any more speed in those legs today. And he's about to get tailed off in the last 8 kilometres. Rowan Dennis has pulled off, the red jersey dropping nearest camera right down the peloton there. He was the pacemaker. Now it's Lloyd Mondry. He's also dropped off the front. Change of order here. Saxo Tinkoff, the team that carried the race leader, Alberto Contador, keeping him safe. 5 kilometres to go. And looking now, it's still been all Tinkoff Saxo setting the pace at the front.
Degenkolb was in a good position there as well on the left-hand side of that peloton. A few of his teammates saw surrounding him, looking after him, and the FDJ boys not too far away.
Most of the teams have a reasonable sprinter on them. The Belkin team lost their young sprinter, Moreno Hofland, the other day. He retired. And so they haven't really got a sprinter, but everybody else, and I can see that Peter Sagan has moved himself up there as well. He's sitting on the wheel of Degenkolb at the moment. Maybe he's finding his legs after 12 days of racing.
You'd certainly expect Sagan to get better as the Vuelta goes along, whether he's going to be up there on this sort of finish, but we've seen him at the back of the peloton quite a lot so far in there.
Well, I'll tell you what, Graham, the peloton may have spent their time asleep for the best part of 4 hours, but they've woken up now. 68 kilometres an hour on a flat road. Yeah,
definitely all fighting to stay near the front, really approaching that tricky moment now. Who's going to take it up? Which team's going to get this sprint right?
Well, very important that the leaders keep out of trouble here, because they have to finish the stage, of course, in the same time as the peloton to keep their time gaps they've built over 12 days of racing. They're not interested in winning the day's spoils. They're thinking long term. This is stage 12 of 21. And once we're through 3 kilometres to go, anybody falling or having a flat tyre gets the same time as the man who wins the stage. So 3 kilometres to go is probably when the overall contenders will breathe a sigh of relief. That's an international rule. and it's a sensible one, I have to say, because they don't want to get involved in the day's spoils, because sprinting is by definition extremely dangerous.
Lamprey boys are still well placed as well. There's Degenkolb about 10 back, just behind one of his teammates.
Now 3 kilometers to go. By the way, that doesn't mean you can sit up and freewheel home and lose half an hour. That's not the name. You have to finish in the group unless you fall in the group, and then you get the time of the group. Now it's still Valgrand on the front, the champion of Denmark here, keeping Contador 4 men down, safe and sound with the speed. A little bit of a strong move coming up on the inside. Canziato make it. In fact, he's jumped away here from the group, Manuel Canziato. And that's an interesting move. He's a very strong man, but for some reason, Saxo Tinkoff are after him. 2.3 kilometers to go. Canziato makes the move, looks over his shoulder. He's getting no gap at all.
Well, it looked like BMC were planning something, but that hasn't really worked, and I don't see anybody else fairly close to the front, so it may have been a lot of effort for not a much.
I think they must have been setting him up for that very jump. We're at 2 kilometers to go, and Manuel Canziato has just been pegged back here, and it's all been down to the vigilance of the race leaders' teams. But Hutrovic has now moved into 3rd place in the white jersey. He's got the 2 sprinters behind him, Ferrari and Ricchesi from Lamprey. Degenkolb has got his lead-out man just in front of him. He's in the perfect position. But the one man we're not talking about is Nasser Bouhanni.
No, he's a bit further back, I think, in about 20th place. He should be a bit closer to Degenkolb, so maybe it's just a lack of concentration. He's slipped a bit too far back, maybe.
A little idea of speed there. As we go back now, looking for the 1 kilometer to go. We're inside a mile to the finish now. 6 riders down is the green jersey of Degenkolb, the man who won here 2 years ago on the same circuit. Bernardi was the rider in 2nd place, and maybe they're looking for Bernardi again on Tinkoff Saxo. Ferrari and Ricchesi. Ricchesi is the rider in front, and looking at Ferrari inside the kilometer to go. As moving off up the road now, it is it is going up there. It's Ferrari on the front, so they're looking to Ricchesi. Ferrari is gone. Hutrovic is trying to get on terms with him. Just off our picture will be Ricchesi, but no sign of the lime green jersey yet. There is Ricchesi, the 3rd man in the line. Ferrari said, "This is my last chance of a win in this year's Vuelta." He's gone very, very early. The lead out for Degenkolb on the right. The lime green jersey, and Bouhanni is nowhere to be seen in this. Goodness knows what happened to him. But the lead out is now going to be perfect here for John Degenkolb. And Tom Bonen is in 3rd place. Bonen breaks on the left of our picture. Degenkolb has got centre stage. Head to head, the Germany against Belgium here, and right on the line. Degenkolb gets his 3rd win and his 2nd on that finishing line in the last 2 years.
Well, I don't know what happened there, but there's a real split in the peloton. But
it's when a crash, and it's Bouhanni, I think. Well, that's it. We didn't see this crash. Guardini's the other sprinter down.
There had to be some reason for that big split in that group there, and it really thinned out. We lost quite a lot of the sprinters there. Well, here you can see Degenkolb has had a perfect lead out from Sinkeldam. Tom Boonen was in the perfect position to have come past him, but didn't really have the legs. And the one who's finishing quite fast there was Peter Sagan, so it's good to see him coming up on the sprint finishes.
Now, having had 7 laps to rehearse their coverage, Spanish television managed to miss the moment of the crash. But you can just see the riders held up in the back of shot here by the right-hand barrier, where the finishing straight began to narrow. These were the men who avoided it, and John Degenkolb was the fastest of them, with only Tom Bonen looking like he might prevent the giant Shimano man's 3rd stage win. Now, it looks as though the field might already have split on its own by the time the crash happened, but the commissaires decided to keep things simple, and everyone in the main field, including all the big names, got the same time as the winner.
I was very lucky. I mean, I was in a very good position, and I hope nobody get hard injured. And in sprints like this, it's always possible that a crash happens, and yeah, I didn't see a crash.
Just chaos for the last couple of kilometres, obviously, and then so many guys, such an easy day. Everyone thinks they're a sprinter again, you know, and you see what happens when they get in the way with 1K to go. Just touch your handlebars, and they're not used to touching handlebars, and down he went, some guy from Quick Step, I think, and then all I remember is just going over his front wheel and doing a jump off an 808. So, but the thing is, I was looking for Jens the whole time, and you know, just keep drifting back another place, and then if you hit that final corner, there's no one could move. Just, it's a problem. The circuit's too easy. Everyone has mega fresh legs. There's always going to be a crash in that final.
Jens de Buskera, what did you see?
I saw a really hectic sprint, and I saw Guardini as always. Actually, he's always dangerous, and for sure in a sprint like this, he makes things he don't have to do, and I think that's the reason they crashed. He just bumps into another guy, and he cannot make this corner, and they crash, and 10 guys go over.
Peter, did the crash hold you up?
No.
There you go, stage 12, and we managed to get a word out of Peter Sagan. He's getting closer, but John Degenkolb, bad leg and all, was still the fastest of those available to sprint today. And as a result, he extends his lead in the green jersey competition, although that won't survive the mountains even if he does. No change in the time gaps on the first page of the standings, and it's been a few stages since we were able to say that. Alberto Contador keeps his 20-second lead over Alejandro Valverde, with Chris Froome exactly a minute behind him, 12 seconds off Rigoberto Urán in third place. Joaquin Rodriguez and Samuel Sanchez are the only other men within 2 minutes of the race lead. Dan Martin remains 11th at 3 minutes 59. Adam Yates is biding his time, waiting for a return to the mountains to show himself. And David Miller continues to conserve fuel on his Garmin Team Issue motorised bike. He dropped another 3 minutes today. Stray dogs notwithstanding, though, it was an uneventful day for Alberto Contador. And when you're leading the race as opposed to watching it, uneventful is good.